sport to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg. Give it up for Mark Tatum on the program. No relation to Jason.
No relation.
Okay.
Right.
What is your official title, sir?
I'm the NBA Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer.
So you report directly to the big man?
Directly to Mr. Silver.
Wow.
Silver. Absolutely.
You have with you today the only reason you're here, which is to let us touch the coveted 75th anniversary NBA bedazzled ball.
That's right.
Am I describing it correctly?
Absolutely. That's a perfect description. So, as you know, we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year of the NBA, and it's been a special season. And throughout the entire season, we've done a bunch of different activities. We had the All NBA 75 team at
the
All-Star in Cleveland. It was just an amazing display of talent. Everyone coming together from Magic to Michael.
Well, why wasn't Larry there? Well, what the hell's going on with him?
Well, I'll tell you.
Did he give you guys a heads up? Like, I can't make it? I mean,
he did. He participated in our campaign, in our NBA Lane campaign. But you know, with COVID, there's still a lot of people that were a little bit concerned about traveling.
I've been watching Winning Time on HBO. Larry's attitude hasn't always been the right one.
hey, that's my guy, man.
That's a fictionalized drama. Let's be clear. It's not a documentary.
Not a documentary.
Hey, listen. Sometimes
Yes.
people tell the truth in these fictionalized things that they won't tell in docs. But do you voice any disagreements that you may have with the boss, or like, for instance, did you disagree with anything on the all NBA 75 or anyone that wasn't there?
I think within our organization, we always have things that we debate, and we figure out what's the right thing to do, what's the right way to approach it. On this one, this was more of a celebration of the NBA 75 greatest players, and there were certainly debates publicly over who should be on that list, who shouldn't be on that list. And I think, you know, one of the things, but there was no debate internally about how the league should recognize
of course not.
those players. And so, you know, it was a panel of voters, so it wasn't determined by the league, and so those arguments didn't take place at the league office. But I think it's a great discussion point for fans and for the basketball family around the world to say who are the best 75 players. And like I said, there's no right and wrong answers. There are certainly players that are clearly on that list, and I think once you get down, you know, into the later numbers, that's where the real debate comes.
Rosenberg, you remember when they rolled out the greatest NBA? Was it
the 50?
The 50.
That was 25 years ago in Cleveland.
That was 25 years ago. So obviously 25 years from now, we're going to do 100, right? Whatever that's going to look like. There was debate then and a lot of disagreement on the 50.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's always a thing, and I think people enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I remember, I think Dominique got left out of the 50. And there was some controversy around that, but he got added to the 75.
That's right.
It was right. But that's going to be, you know, and there were some interesting ones this time, too. Like
Kyrie didn't make the 75.
So Kyrie did not make it. Dame Lillard did.
Right.
It was interesting. And that's a really, like, if I was to debate those two players, that's an interesting conversation to have.
Sure.
Although Damian Lillard certainly has availability working for him.
Right.
Well, I think
very available.
I think what's fascinating will be, you talked about the next 25 years. I think today we're seeing some young players that will be on that list 25 years.
I mean, how excited are you guys at the league about John Morant right now?
He's incredible. I mean, he is so transcendent of the sport. The dunk that he had the other night,
Any discussion about changing that to 10 points? Because that should have tied the game. I was watching the game at that time. That dunk happened. I was like, it should be a tie game now.
It felt that way.
It certainly motivated the team, right? It certainly motivated the team and the crowd. And so he's just an electric player. And he's 23 years old, but there's Jason Tatum, there's Anthony Edwards, who is in that series. He's 20 years old. We're seeing Scotty Barnes in Toronto, Rookie of the Year. He's 20 years old and really keeping them in that series against Philadelphia. So the basketball right now, the playoff basketball is great.
How has that, just as looking at the totality of the business, right, with so many teams, exciting teams throughout the season, talk about this playoffs right now and how maybe TV ratings, revenues, and things like that. How is it helping the league?
Yeah, TV ratings are up double digits, both in our regular season as well as in the playoffs. And so it's attracting fans. The fans are really excited about the quality of the game. And when you think about it, tonight, we have 3 game 6s. And so teams have the opportunity to close out tonight. There's only a couple of series that are done now. The Milwaukee,
Warriors,
exactly,
Bucks,
Warriors,
Celtics.
Yep, Bucks and Celtics. So that's it. All the other series are still taking place, and I think when you're an NBA fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see great competition. You want to see
Going
great
game
basketball.
6s and 7s.
Absolutely. So we're seeing that, and fans are responding. Our social media is up. We have one of the largest social media followings around the world with more than 2.1 billion likes and followers. And the viewership is up. And so that's how we, in attendance. Attendance is really setting records as well, and full buildings. And
Well, I think one thing, Mark, that's fascinating is that the NBA has such goodwill amongst its fans. Like, listen, we all know the NFL is a juggernaut unlike anything on earth when it comes to getting eyeballs. But if you were to ask fans of the NFL, myself included, how do you feel about this league? There's a lot of mixed feelings. The NBA numbers are not going to be the Super Bowl numbers, while they're incredibly respectable numbers. But if you ask the fans, the league is so highly regarded. Why is that? How much of that is among you guys? Do you guys attribute to the leadership of David Stern, God rest his soul? Where did that come from? Because the league just seems to get everything right from a messaging standpoint.
well, I appreciate you saying that. I would say that we take an approach as a league where we listen to our fans, we listen to our players, we listen to our teams. And so that's our approach, and that always has been. As you mentioned, the late David Stern, that was his approach, is we are in the business of creating this sports competition, these great basketball games with these greatest athletes in the world, but it's got to be for the fans, and the players have to really feel vested in that too. And so that's just been part of our culture, and we listen to our fans, and we adjust, and we're not afraid to do different things. And the play-in tournament was a good example of something that we created, right? Because we said, because we heard from the fans that said, there were some teams that were undergoing strategies that didn't have the right incentives to really, they were kind of playing for the lottery.
That's right.
Instead of trying to get into the playoffs. And so we thought about, how can we change that paradigm and give the right incentives for teams to actually compete right up into the end.
And it works.
And it works. It works. Not only the actual play-in games themselves, which garner some of the highest ratings of the season, but what's interesting is there's an effect earlier on in the season too. So meaning, like, even in March and April, teams now are looking at, I need to get into the 6th spot so I can avoid being in the play-in tournament. Or you might be in the 11th spot.
And you think you have a chance to make the playoffs.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's been a tremendous thing. But again, that's listen to the fans. Things like the All-Star game, we changed the format this year to a target score ending instead of a 4 quarters.
So what are we going to do about the dunk contest? Because I know you guys heard the noise this year. Something's got to give.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's something that has ebbed and flowed over the years, and there have been times where we've come off of years like this, and we've said, is this the time to stop doing it? One, it ends up being the highest rated event of All-Star Saturday night. So the fans still love it. The social media that comes out of it.
And that also means y'all not getting rid of it.
I don't think so. No, the fans love it. So, but
sponsors love it too.
Sponsors love it too. It's good for business, absolutely. And I think, but we'll continue to look to tweak it. We tried to tweak it throughout the years, and sometimes you get great competitions, and then other times it falls a little bit flat.
What would be the legal issue? Because I'm sure there is one, of allowing individuals who are not NBA players to participate.
Because that would be so.
Contest.
If you get some of these amateurs in there to dunk, man, there's some people who could really spice
put on a
things
great
up.
show, and they have large social media following. Like, there's marketing that could happen. Are you privy to any of the legal issues, and has that conversation even happened?
No doubt. I mean, I would say it's not even more of a legal issue. The All-Star Weekend is a showcase for NBA players and NBA talent, and there's no doubt great dunkers out there that's all they do, right? They're in a sense, they're professional dunkers.
Yes, right.
And so there might be a way to incorporate them, but the All-Star game and All-Star Weekend is really about showcasing the best NBA players in the world, and we've done that. One of the things that we have done, and this year was new, is we brought in the G League Ignite players.
That's right.
And had them participate in what used to be the Rising Stars Challenge between rookies and sophomores, and that was great. That was
maybe
exciting.
G League can participate in the dunk contest.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's a conversation.
Absolutely.
I totally hear that's a completely fair response. It's a celebration of the NBA, so you want to keep it NBA. But then, like, I remember our guy Maxwell Pierce from the Globetrotters who came up here.
Yes.
He does such special stuff, right? He's a name. I think this would be amazing. I got laughed out of the room for this, but I would love if legends could participate in the three-point shootout. I would love to see Reggie Miller still getting a shootout. That would be incredible.
Yeah, Reggie.
Love Del Curry.
Exactly.
That would be such good TV. And to me, one of the things I love about the NBA is I feel like you guys you take yourself seriously, but not too seriously to the point where you're still fun. Yeah. So like the dunk contest is all about fun. At the end of the day, listen, you look back at some of our favorite, most memorable dunk contests. It was players like Kenny Skywalker, D. Brown, nice, solid role players, but these were not superstar players very often. So I don't know. I just want to see it thrive, and we'll see. But I understand that response. It certainly makes sense.
Mark, tell us about the National Basketball Social Justice Coalition.
Absolutely. So the NBA has had a long history of fighting for racial equality, social justice. You go back to the days of Bill Russell, to Oscar Robertson, to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so those players really set the standard for being professional athletes and speaking out on social justice issues. And so what you see now is this younger generation of player, the LeBrons, the Chris Paul, the Carmelos, they've carried on that tradition. And in light of the incidences that have been happening, even before George Floyd, remember when LeBron and Carmelo and Chris Paul and D. Wade got up on stage at the ESPYs and they talked about the violence against young black men in this country. We've been talking about it for a long time. And so coming out of the summer of 2020, we decided that we did two things. One is we created an NBA Foundation, where our teams committed $300 million over 10 years to create economic opportunity in the black community. Mm-hmm. And right now we've put to use over 100 different grants, $33 million already that we've been investing in organizations that help create jobs for black youth in this country. And so that's been one of the things. And then the second initiative was the Social Justice Coalition, which was a way to organize between us, our teams, and our players to get policy change in this country in areas like police, criminal justice reform, policing reform, and civil engagement like voting rights. So we've supported the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. We've supported the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And we now are created that 501c4. So we've basically institutionalized what we're going to do and how we're going to try to fight for racial equality.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity. Right. This is a permanent organization.
Yeah.
We've gone out, we've hired an executive director who has experience doing this. So it's not a part-time job that anyone at the league is doing.
It's not just trendy and something you're doing because it's in vogue.
This is going to last forever, right? This is not just a lot of organizations basically made statements and they made commitments. We've institutionalized those commitments where we said this is a 24/7, 365-day effort by us, our players, and our teams.
Do other leagues reach out to you guys? Is there communication?
Absolutely. We talk to the other leagues all the time and on lots of different issues.
Because there's really only two leagues, I think, that got dealing with social justice right. Oddly enough, NHL. Right? Like, didn't expect them to handle some of the things that some of those teams did very, very well and very progressively. So that was great to see. And obviously the NBA. Everyone else made it so trivial and clunky and
well, you might have one team that does it well, but other teams that didn't.
It just wasn't a uniformity to it. And it was like, they acted like this was like a thing that was going to go away.
That's right. That's right. For us, this was always about our values. Like I said, we didn't wake up, after George Floyd and say, oh, we better do something. We've been doing this work for decades and decades. It's part of the DNA of the NBA. And so it goes back to that culture, too, of listening to our players, listening to our fans, and those issues that are important to them are important to us. And we try to address that.
Well, it's even if zoom farther out, right? I lived in Portland, Oregon for a couple years, and I remember when I showed up in Portland, Oregon, the Trailblazers on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, this is 1999, built a brand new community center for the black community in Portland, Oregon in 1999, state-of-the-art facility where Portland Trailblazers would go and work with the community at this facility. Right, you go over here, Basketball City on the east side. The NBA Knicks show up over there to work with the kids. Like, there's no hesitation to invest in basketball and to show up where young black and brown kids are. And I know we've talked about it on the air a lot where we wonder what happened with Major League Baseball investing in baseball diamonds in poor neighborhoods and making sure that they looked a certain way so that black kids in America wanted to keep playing baseball, right?
And I know that's an initiative now they're trying, but they certainly have never had the effectiveness so far that the NBA
shows up in a neighborhood where black kids are playing basketball and make sure that basketball looks good. The courts look good. There's things happening in the city, especially if there's a team in that city. And I think that's why I asked if other leagues reach out, because some of it is it should be very easy to do.
It's authentic. It's second nature to us.
Right.
It's authentic to us. And what I'd say is not only do we do that here in the U.S., but we're doing that around the world,
right,
too.
in Africa, too.
Absolutely. We launched NBA Africa. We launched a new league in Africa. And what we saw in Africa is the opportunity. It's a fast-growing young population. More than half of the population of Africa is under 30 years old. And it's a growing population. And we said over there, sports is really still viewed as a competition, right? There's a winner and a loser. It's not viewed as a business. And we said, if we started this league, we could actually teach and show how you can actually use sports as an economic driver of growth, creating jobs, creating new industries. And we're now seeing that with the launch of the BAL, the Basketball Africa League. You're seeing agencies pop up that are promoting the games and selling tickets and marketing agencies that didn't exist before who are investing in this. You're seeing investments in new stadiums in Dakar, Senegal, and Kigali, Rwanda, in Cairo. And so we're taking that model and bringing it internationally as well.
It just feels to me like the NBA, all leagues, particularly the NFL and the NBA, make money on the work, skill, and talent of black Americans. Like, that is just a fact. You look at the actual percentages, 70% of the workforce in the NFL. I'm sure it's even higher in the NBA.
Yep, 75.
75%. The difference is, it just feels, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass because you're sitting here, but it really feels, and you tell me, Ebro, it feels like the NBA realizes that that's the case, and as a result, fosters the relationship, but that's beneficial to the NBA also. But more than that, cares about the community from which people come and helps empower people to do more in their own.
But even look at the coaching pipeline.
That too.
Yep.
Exactly.
The ownership pipeline.
Yep.
Right? Like, these are things that the NFL, for some reason, once again, I don't want to bash NFL just because, you're sitting here, I don't want to create any problems, but I have big problems with the NFL and their inability to usher in coaches
and the play,
create a pipeline.
And the workforce is what? You're saying it's a 5% difference? 70% black in the NFL, 75% in the NBA?
Yes.
Why is it in the NBA you see black coaches on the sidelines up and down and we can't see it in the NFL?
Look, I'll speak to how we think about this. There's no having to convince people at the NBA that having a diverse organization with diverse views is the right thing to do. Everyone within our organization, now I'm talking about not just at the league level, but the team level, understand that. Right. And so when a head coaching job becomes available, our owners are going to say, who's the best person available? And if it's Ime Udoka, he's going to get the job. Right. And I think so that's what we're seeing. We've got female referees.
Yep.
And so gender equality is something that's very
female
very
coaching been ahead on that too.
Absolutely. So we are saying we don't have to be, no one in the NBA family needs to be convinced that having a diverse organization makes you stronger and makes you better.
Yeah.
Is there a world where, and I know it's hard because you're talking about the economy of it, but you brought up, gender equality. We got to talk about wage equality in the WNBA. And obviously people feel like the WNBA players should make a lot more money. How are you guys discussing that within the NBA and supporting the WNBA and also creating more opportunities for that league to get the spotlight?
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more. And what I'd say is we've been, the WNBA is part of the NBA. It's been around now for 26 years, right? Wow. Last year we celebrated our 25th year anniversary. We have a new commissioner in Kathy Engelbert who's doing an incredible job of growing the sport. We saw increases in ratings and viewership, all the metrics that we measure, attendance, social media engagement. We just finished a new collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association, which now pays our top players some $500,000. And on top of that, they can actually also get endorsement deals, either from the league, and we're also helping create summer internship programs for these players. Most of the WNBA players are college graduates,
right?
And after they finish their career, they go on to second careers, and so we help facilitate that even as they're playing. But it's a business, and I think what we're focused on, and we just went out and raised $75 million for the WNBA to invest more in marketing, to invest more in the sport, to promote it, to get it to the level where we think it ought to be, and we're going to get there. And so salaries have been raising significantly, and we're going to continue to grow that business so that we can continue to pay those players even more going forward.
But the bottom line is people got to watch.
Absolutely.
For
People-
money,
and
for money to
show
go.
up.
and,
Right.
yes,
Show up.
and
Show up,
sponsors
yeah.
and sponsors need to support the WNBA. Fans need to come out to support these women because they are incredible athletes, and it's fun competition to watch.
How crazy is the Brittney Griner convo for you guys right now?
Boy, we've been obviously in the middle of that and following that situation very, very closely. Our thoughts and prayers are with Brittney. We've been in close contact with her representatives, the State Department,
Right.
the administration. I will tell you that we are doing everything, and people are doing everything they can to bring her home safely. That's our first priority.
That is like the worst
It is.
case scenario.
Absolutely.
Where is she right now? Is she just in
Russia.
She's
Just
in a prison in Russia.
prison in Russia.
Yes. But again, we've had through the State Department contact with her, and she's being treated fairly. She's healthy, and again, we're just praying for her safe return, and doing everything we can to get her home safe.
Is it and from what you know, the expediting of figuring out what's going to happen to her is held up by the current situation, and is she being used as a pawn in any way?
I don't want to speak too much to that.
Right.
Again, I think we've been in touch with the right people at the State Department, at the administration,
Doing what you can.
to let them do what they do?
Exactly.
That's tough.
Mark Tatum, no relation to Jason Tatum.
No, we established that on draft night. Actually, my dad was there, his grandfather was there, and they were actually trying to figure out. and there was maybe some connection in Virginia, in my great grandfather's lineage, but we couldn't find a definitive connection.
Maybe cousins.
Maybe cousins.
Wait,
That's
Mark,
my cousin.
what's your background?
So I'm Black and Asian. So my dad grew up in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica, came to the States when he was a teenager, joined the U.S. Air Force, went to Vietnam in the war, met my mother, got married, fell in love, had me. I was born in Vung Tau, Vietnam. Wow. But then he brought me and my mom back when I was 1 year old to Brooklyn, New York. He's Flatbush, so I'm a Brooklyn guy. And they're still married to this day. Some 52 years later. And but so Black and Asian, and grew up in a West Indian neighborhood in East
So you
Flatbush.
speak Patois?
Yeah, man. It's awesome.
And let me tell you something. I've been to Vietnam, and it's absolutely amazing. I was in Ho Chi Minh, in Hanoi, Ha Long Bay. I had the best time.
It's a beautiful country. Great people, great food.
You've been able to take your mom, you guys.
Yes, I took my mom. The last time I took her back was in 1998, and I took her to parts of her country that she had never been to. She had only been to Ho Chi Minh City,
Right.
Saigon. So we took her to the north in Ha Long Bay and
So
Hanoi,
beautiful.
and it was wonderful seeing the country through her eyes, and again, her exploring her country that she really didn't get a chance.
But then
to
y'all
see.
also still go to Kingston. You go to Jamaica
Of
for
course,
vacation,
yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Of course,
Yeah,
of
okay,
course.
okay. I
Yes,
love it. I
yes.
love
What was the experience like of being biracial, but also appearing Asian, growing up in East Flatbush in the 70s and 80s? I'm sure that wasn't always a walk in the park.
It wasn't because there weren't too many Blasians, right? It wasn't a thing back then, right? And so I really did stand out. But I had a supportive family. I had supportive friends. And it
Could you
wasn't-
hoop? Your hoop game was good?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, well, then you was all right. You was all right at the
exactly.
park.
I mean, we used to tie up the milk crate, cut out the bottom of the milk crate, tie it to a lamppost, so we could play it all hours of the night on the street. So, but I actually played baseball. I played baseball in high school. I went to Brooklyn Tech. We played at Yankee Stadium, won the New York City
Nice.
Public High School Championship. Then I went on and played at Cornell. But I could play ball. I could play ball.
You good. You're good. Yeah, but people gonna look when you're mixed, take it from me. People gonna talk shit. But if you can fight a little bit and you can play
That's
sports,
right.
you gonna be all right. You gonna be all right.
I feel like in this city, one of the things that's overlooked, one of the things that's overlooked in this city, I do feel is there is a certain level of almost seemingly acceptable racism towards Asian people. And like, I wonder, what were the nicknames people used for you?
Bruce Lee. That was
Regular Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah, Bruce.
That's a
Lee.
compliment.
I was like, yeah.
And that's how people see
I love
it.
Bruce.
Yeah.
I love Bruce. But yeah, no, in elementary school they used to call me Bruce Lee. They used to, put their eyes back. So yeah, no, I had to deal with that. And then it wasn't really until high school. I went to Brooklyn Tech and class of '87. It wasn't until high school that I started meeting other interracial kids. And that's when I first started feeling comfortable being biracial, right? Because it wasn't until then where I saw other kids that were Black and Latino or white and Asian, and they were comfortable, and that made me more comfortable. But it was rough because I actually ended up going to junior high school in Bensonhurst, which at the time was an all-white Italian neighborhood. And so I faced a different sort of
So you got it everywhere.
Oh, I got it everywhere. But it wasn't until, like I said, high school where it was really a melting pot of kids from all over the city that I started then feeling really, really comfortable in my own skin.
Wow, very cool. Thank you for sharing the story, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Before you leave, that basketball.
Yes.
You're trying to
picture with
convince
y'all,
me that
yeah.
that is the same basketball
Yes.
that we've been seeing on
Spike, Lil Wayne, Saweetie. This is
at the
same,
games,
yes.
the one everybody. There's only one
There's
of those.
only one, absolutely, and I brought it here.
Are y'all buying this?
I believe it. I mean, listen,
It's true.
he said Spike, Lil Wayne, and Saweetie. He didn't say, Obama.
No. What I'm saying,
Kevin Hart. We can get Obama to
no,
to
what I'm
say
saying
something
is
too,
the
yeah.
ball's been like at mad games, like it's
Yes.
moving around.
This is
Like,
Mark
is.
Tatum from the NBA. You're not bringing us a jabroni ball? What are you saying?
yo, give it up, Mark Tatum. Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
time,
man.
man.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.